Okay, we're up to Chaf Gimel Amid Beis, and we're in the middle of a sugya. So let's review outside and we'll go inside. We saw there's two removals of deshen. There's one called Trumas Hadeshen and there's one called Haitzas Hadeshen. Trumas Hadeshen is when the kohen goes up, he goes to the pyre, the maracha, he stoops back and forth inside with a shovel. He brings that shovel down on the southeast corner of the mizbeach. He plates it of a samayat from mizbeach, and miraculously it got absorbed in the ground. The ashes upon the mizbeach they would keep up in the middle to a place called the tapuach, and from time to time they would clean it out. That's called haitzas hadeshen. It's called haitzas hadeshen. We saw in Vayikra Vav, Pesukim Gimel and Dalit, they were two distinct things. So here's the service at hand. Here's the machlokes at hand. According to the Tanakama, that they had to wear begadim. They wore begadim, and big day acherim. They said big day acherim. What is big day acherim? That they wore not as good quality, but they had to wear the big day kahuna. Rabbi Eliezer said no. Rabbi Eliezer said the acherim is not going on the begadim. The acherim is going on the people that can do it. Who are the people that can do it? That's the even acherim, even balimum could do it. So pashtus machlokes over here is between Rabbi Eliezer and Tanakama. Like the Tanakama, it would be considered an avodah, and Rabbi Eliezer would not be considered an avodah because if it's an avodah, a balimum can't do it. That was the machlokes by haitzah. Now we took that machlokes by haitzah and we applied it to Trumas Hadeshen. Now, Trumas Hadeshen is more of a svara to say it's an avodah. You're taking it off the mizbeach rather than an act of just cleaning off the mizbeach, right? There's a so says Reish Lakish, the same machlokes between the Tanakama and Rabbi Eliezer, the haitzah of the deshen exists by Trumas Hadeshen. The same machlokes. Says Rabbi Yochanan, no. Rabbi Eliezer will be moda by Trumas Hadeshen that a Baal Mum would not be able to do it, right? The whole machlokes is by haitzah, but by Trumas Hadeshen, everyone will be moda that it's. So now it comes out apparently that the same Reish Lakish holds the same machlokes. That light Rabbi Eliezer, even by Trumas Hadeshen, it's not an avodah. Right? Even by Trumas Hadeshen, it's not an avodah. And light Rabbi Yochanan, it is an avodah. So that's the machlokes between Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan by Trumas Hadeshen, whether it's an avodah or not. And now the Gemara is going to suggest this machlokes amaroyim between Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan, in fact, is a machlokes anoyim, and we're going to reject it. Now, we're familiar with this sugya a bit. We've done it before. We had a shaila earlier. The avnate of the Kohen Gadol Yom Kippur, we know clearly was made of linen. No, on Yom Kippur, it was made of shat. Oh, it was made of linen. It's made of linen. Sorry. It's okay. It was made of linen. That's clear. Good. The avnate of the Kohen Gadol during the year was shatnez. The shaila was, what about the avnate of the Kohen Hedyot? Was it shatnez like the Kohen Gadol or not? That was the shaila. That was the machlokes. So, how does it impact? After the Kohen Gadol does this avodah on Yom Kippur, if you hold the avnate of the Kohen Hedyot was also linen, then, if not for other factors, you should be able to use the same begadim, same hat, same pants, same shirt, same belt, because you hold the avnate of the Kohen Gadol during the year. A Kohen Hedyot during the year is not the same as the avnei of the Kohen Gadol, because his is shatnez and his is linen. So we're going to get using that idea, and we're going to get into it. It's machlokes tanoim whether Trumas Hadeshen was an avodah or not. So we're going to go through a little piece of Gemara till we get to the machlokes. But we had this Gemara previously. Name Kitanoi. We're about 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 lines up, 10 lines up on Chaf Gimel Amid Beis. Name Kitanoi. Let's say this machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish regarding whether Trumas Hadeshen can be done by a balmum, whether it's an avodah or not, is in fact machlokes tanoim. It says al b'sarai ma tamud loyma yilbash al lehevi. It says silbash al b'sarai. What's the lashon of the pasuk? You have it. Art school. I don't have an art school here. What is it? Vayikra what? Vayikra what? Vayikra Vav Gimel. Okay, so I should know this by heart already. V'lo v'shakayim mitlasei bad, something like mitlasei bad yosh b'sarai. So Yilbash Abasari. Now, so when it says that V'lavash HaKoyin Midai Bad U'Michsei Bad Yilbash Abasari, why do you have to say the word Yilbash? You already said V'lavash. So when it says Yilbash Abasari, why does it have to say that? Says the Gemara, Matam Lema Yilbash Lahevi Mitznefes Va'avnei Laharama. Div Reb Yehuda. We pointed out yesterday, guys. Listen to the pasuk. V'lavash HaKoyin Midai Bad. That's a shirt well fitted. U'Michnesei Bad. Those are pants. No mention of hat. No mention of belt. Right? We pointed out yesterday. So now he's saying that when it says Yilbash, that extra Yilbash Lahevi to include Mitznefes V'avnei Laharama. That when it comes to Trumas Hadeshen, you need the full set, not just a pants and shirt. You also need what? Hat and belt. So you can see the direction that Yehuda must hold this what it's an avodah, or else you need the full set of clothing, right? Good. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Doisa, I mean, no. Rabbi Doisa says, what does Yilbash come? The rabbis big day kohen gadol b'yamei kippurin shekashem l'kohen hedyet. That the 4 begodim of the kohen gadol, the kohen hedyet could use during the year. But we're not speaking about what he takes out the Trumas Hadeshen with. It's not going on that at all. Hastily holds it's not an avodah. Good. Right. Now, Amar Rabbi, state Shuvas B'Dava. Says Rabbi, 2 reasons Rabbi Doisa is incorrect. 2 reasons that Rabbi Doisa is incorrect, that the Kohen Hedyet would not be able to use the belt of the Kohen Gadol, the garments of the Kohen Gadol during the year. Chada, the Avnita shel Kohen Gadol, right? Lo yizehu Avnita shel Kohen Hedyet, perish. The Avnit of the Kohen Gadol in Yom Kippur, which is made of linen, lo zehu Avnita shel Kohen Hedyet, which is made of shatnez. So the Kohen Hedyet would not be able to use it. That's one reason you can't use the Yom Kippur garment for the Kohen Hedyet, because the belt is a different belt. A second reason that you can't go ahead and use the begodim of the Kohen Gadol, the oid, begodim shenishtameshes ben kedusha chamura, begodim that served in the highest of the service, the avodah on Yom Kippur, teshamish ben kedusha kala, you're going to give it to Kohen Hedyet and downgrade it. So therefore, Rebbe says, Reb Doisa, you're incorrect. Yilbash Amid Aleph. Why does it say Yilbash? It says the Rabbi says Hashchokim, that even though he can wear, the avodah is what? Kosher with any clothing, provided it's not ripped. If it's as long as it's not ripped, you can use it. Shchokim, it can be well worn. Right? The business we used to say well worn clothing, like a previously owned car, like new. Like new, okay. Like new clothing. Anyways. Now, it says V'nicha Sham, by the Kohen Gadol, after he does the avodah, it says V'nichu Sham, you should leave it there. Malamet Shetuna Geniza, says the Tanakama, that you have to bury it. It's Asa Bahana. As we learned Sham from Miriam. But Thomas Sham Miriam died over there. V'nichu Sham, you leave it there like a toita person, you go ahead, you bury it, you can't use it. Maces Asa Bahana, you got to bury it. This is buried. Next, Reb Doisa, no. Roy and Hein Kohen Hedyet. It's Roy for the Kohen Hedyet, meaning the Kohen Hedyet could use it. So obviously, Reb Doisa must hold that the Kohen Hedyet avnei during the year is linen, or else you have the same problem, correct? The Kohen Gadol should not use it twice. My love, the Masavar, Rabbi Yehuda, who says by Trumas Hadeshen, guys, the Yilbush comes to include what? Remember, it only says in the pasuk the shirt, midai bad. It only says nichnesei bad. It only says the pants. Yilbush then is to include what? The hat and the belt. Why do you need a full set? Because it must be Trumas Hadeshen is an avodah. And Rabbi Doisa, who says Yilbush comes to teach me that it's kosher for Kohen Hedyet, but not that you need the belt and not that you need the hat, must hold that Trumas Hadeshen is what is not avodah. So therefore, the masa avodahi, umasaba lav avodahi, and the other one says what? It's not an avodahi. Okay, so this is the machlokes what by l'chayra. This is machlokes by haitzah. This is machlokes by haitzah. It's not by true. No, the Trumas Hadeshen. No, machlokes by what? By Trumas Hadeshen. Now says the Gemara like the kuli alma avodahi. Everyone says it's an avodah. V'hacha b'hakanifaki. Masabat. In other words, everyone holds like Rabbi Yochanan. Masabat tzricha kral l'rebuye. Rabbi Yehuda says you need a pasuk to include the hat and the belt. Well, Masav Rabbi says light tzricha kral l'rebuye. He says the fact that you mentioned two of the garments automatically you're going to schlep along the other two. It doesn't make sense to go ahead and say, what kind of avoid is it with two garments? So Pashas the Krah, the fact that you mentioned two is enough. Let's see Rashi. 3 lines down. My love, Rabbi Yehuda Reb Doisa B'ha Pligi. The Rabbi Yehuda the Darish Yilbash, who dashes the word Yilbash, Lehevi Mitznevitz V'avneit, to include the hat and the belt. Savar Avoida he holds it's an avoida. Therefore, you need full set of clothing. Uboy Mitznevitz V'avneit. Reb Doisa Savar Lav Avoida he. V'lei Boy Mitznevitz V'avneit. So he said, so the says, no, they all hold it's an avoida. What's the machlokes? Whether it's tzricha krola or buyay. L'itema hani dafka, that you shouldn't say dafka the pants and the shirt. Well, remember the lav avoid and say it's not an avoida. Well, masav Rabbi says light tzricha l'rubi lekra. The kivin the goli book sinus bad kodesh. Since the Torah reveals, because sinus bad kodesh, all you have to do is wear a shirt, umichna say kodesh. That's enough to tell you it's an avoida. Guys, if it wasn't avoida, wear a sweatshirt and Levi's. Think about it in Svara, guys. In Svara, if the Torahs come to tell you that for the Trumas Hadeshin, he has to wear a well-fitted shirt and michna seibad. In other words, they're telling you exactly what you have to wear. Is it Big Day Chayil? No. It was Big Day Chayil. They don't have to tell you what to wear. The fact that it's stressing you have to wear a hat, pants, and you have to wear a shirt that a michna seibad, it's telling you it's kodesh. So memela, it schleps along the unstated. It schleps along the hat and the belt. So therefore, that's the machlokes. They all hold it's avoida for Trumas Hadeshin, and they all hold you have to need 4 set of clothing. The shiler is, do I need a riboy for it like Rabbi Yehuda, or I don't need a riboy for it like Rabbi Doisa? It's enough to say that what I hear Rabbi Doisa swear very clearly. No way. There's no. If it's again, if it's, once it's an avoida, there's no way you can do it. Again, this is only according to again machlokes. There's 2 machlokes over here. There's a machlokes in Tanakama and Rebbe Eliezer, and there's a machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. The machlokes in Tanakama and Rebbe Eliezer is what is by Haitzah Sadeshin, and then we have machlokes on Royim. Do they argue by Truma Sadeshin or not? That's the machlokes. Rabbi Shlakish says they don't argue by Truma Sadeshin. It's the same machlokes, and Rabbi Yochanan says no, they all agree. Rabbi Yochanan says they all agree that it's an avodah. Okay. So I think it's Geshmak. Boy Rabavin. Truma Sadeshin Bekama. Now, we discussed in the Suya Truma Sadeshin, Truma means the separation. You're separating ish. How much do you have to separate? Truma Sadeshin Bekama. It's very fascinating, guys. We're going to say, do we compare it to this and do we compare it to this? And we don't compare it to either one. It's interesting. It says, Trumas Maisa Yalfina Lo, which is 1/10. So in other words, you have to separate 1/10 of the pyre. Trumas Midyan Yalfina Lo. The Midyanim, after they went to battle against Midyan, guys, they brought back a lot of spoils. The Kohanim each Kohen got 1/500 of the spoils. So maybe, why? Because by both places, it says the Lashon of Harama. So since it says Lashon of Harim, Harama, so therefore it's similar to Trumas Hadeshin. I would say that maybe, so it's 1/10 or 1/500. That's the Shaila. Tashma, the Tani Rav Chia, Nema kan v'herim imenu Sadeshin, v'nema lahalan v'herim. It says by v'herim es l'koimitz. Ma lahalan b'koimtzoi, af kan b'koimtzoi. So, what does it say? V'herim imenu b'koimtzoi misal semincha. So we're learning it, and we're not learning it out from Trumas Hadeshin, the Trumas Lamaisa. We're not learning it out from Midyan. Learning it out from Karbi Mincha. Karbi Mincha, guys, is the following: you go ahead. You have a barrel of flour, whether it's cooked flour, whether it's mixed. We'll get to that in Zvachim if you hang in there. It's about 5 years from now. We shall live and be well. You stick your finger in the kain. You get whatever he gets in these. He goes like this and like this. Whatever is in that area is called the kaimitz. It's called the kaimitz. Good. That's the amount. Now, obviously, you're not going to do that with hot coals. It's not a very. Don't try this at home, right? So you're not going to do it with hot coals, but that's the amount. Meaning, Trumas Hadeshin was guys. How much do you fit in there? It's minimal. It's not much minimal. Shema minimal. So you're going to learn out loud from. You're going to learn out from the mincha. Fascinating Rashi. Let's see Rashi. He goes, Toshma The Maharam is Koimetz Yalfin law. You're not learning it out from Shumas Ma'isa. You're not learning it out from Midyan. You're learning it out from Koimetz. Lo Yifchos Mu'umid. You should not less than Mu'umid means an estimation. Molei HaKoimetz. From Matzah Lahoisef Yosef, you want to go ahead and give him a little more. The lekel name of dafka kama. Dafka after the Koimetz. Lo Yefshal live shake beremetz gecholim roisem liquids. It's not possible to stick your hands in hot. What? You're evaluating. Oimid means you evaluate. You put this in, so you figure out. You go ahead. You can figure it out. You go ahead and do a little test. You figure it out. That's how much you have to get in the shovel. I don't know if the shovel is the exact amount. Well, I'm not sure. I hear what you're saying. Doc wants to say maybe the shovel was that amount. So it depends on the size of the coin. Also. What? Yeah. Again, I think must have been like again, meaning you don't have to be exact. Just make sure it's at least the coin. So that would end up. Okay. The next Gemara, guys, is fascinating. It's a fascinating Gemara. It's a crucial pasuk. So I advise all of you to take a look at Bamidbar Yud Ches pasuk Zayin. Bamidbar Yud Ches pasuk Zayin. I have it on the screen here for everybody who's at home. You can see it, guys. You can see this. You got it? Okay. Hey. You got it? And then you can see it. Okay, good. Okay, and anyways, Ari, you have it? Okay, go give it to Ari. You have to see this pasuk. Okay. Ata, it's I had it located there. Bamidbar Yud Ches pasuk Zayin. Now in Bamidbar, all the comments know this. Bamidbar Yud Ches is the Matnas Kuna, right? Bamidbar Yud Ches is the Matnas Kuna. All the Matnas Kuna. This is after the Kairach wanted the Kuna, right? So Kodesh Baruch Hu says Aaron wins, and then he tells you what you win, right? This is what they win. So now V'ata uvanecha, you Aaron and your sons, itcha that are with you, tishmru es kunaschem. You should watch the kahuna. L'chol devar hamizbeach, regarding every matter of the mizbeach, ulmi beis la paroiches, and anything in the paroiches, meaning inside the heichel. Va'avadetem, and you should go ahead and va'avadetem serve avoidas matana etein es kunaschem v'hazar kavyumas. So exactly what's the scenario that the zar, a non-kohen, dies? So this pasuk is the source for a non-kohen, a Levi or a Yisrael who do the avodah. Which one are they chayev misa b'dei shemayim on? In other words, you think if you wouldn't learn Torah Shabbat Peh, anything goes across, anything goes. It's not true. There's only specific avodas. And I will tell you the two avodas, right? Specific avodas. There are two rules of the avodah, and those rules of the avodah, they will go ahead and decide which avodah you chayev for. So the first one is what's called an avodah of putting on rather than taking off. If you look at the pasuk, guys, it says vavaratem avodas matana. What does matana mean? To give. So any avodah, in order to be chayiv hazara kavyumas, the first priority, it has to be an avodah matana as opposed to an avodah of removal. So in Trumas Hadeshem would it be an avodah of siluk of removal? According to Rabbi, that's an avodah, and everyone held it's an avodah. You would be chayiv. A non-kohen won't be chayiv. Why? It's not an avodah of giving, it's an avodah of siluk of removing. You got it? In other words, if I take blood and I throw it, I'm giving something. I take tyrus, I'm burning, I'm putting it on the mizbeach, I'm burning. When you put something on, that's the first box that has to be filled in. It's got to be an avodah that is what? That is giving.
You know, you're putting it on the site.
What?
You're putting ashes on the site.
Were you putting it on the ground?
Yeah, right?
What? You put on. You don't put. No, you don't put it on the mizbeach. Put it on the floor. Put it on the floor. That's not considered matana. Okay, hang in there. A second criteria, it has to be an avodah tama. It has to be the final avodah. It can't be an avodah that has afterwards an avodah. So if I do Kabbalah, Mendy, what do you have after Kabbalah?
I'm talking about Hagbah.
What Hagbah?
Kabbalah is Zrika after
What's
Kabbalah.
Hagbah?
You're taking the blood from the animal. And
That's
then
called
going-
Kabbalah.
That's Kabbalah.
Kabbalah.
Okay. So
It's now. Do you have another avodah of Kabbalah?
yeah, sure.
So therefore, you're not chayiv.
therefore you're not chayav.
Correct.
So a Zar could do it then.
No, he can't do it. He's just not chayiv mis if he does it.
Okay.
No, Mendy's thinking shchit is kosher bizarre. Kabbalah is not. Kabbalah of Eilach. I know Mendy's thinking, but if it's not chayiv misa, so the bizarre can do it. You're mixing up two things, right?
Yeah, okay.
Good. No, I just explained to you. I understand you by now. It's taken a few years. So, guys, look at the pasuk, and I'll show you where you know it from. So the word is avoidus matana. Clearly, you see from these words avoidus matana. That's where you see it has to be avoid of giving. Now, where do you know it has to be the final avoida? Guys, the word va'avadtem. We dash in avoidas tom, the finished avoida. Right? We have that by mezuzah chsav tom, ksiva tama. It has to be right complete. So this va'avadtem. So that's the two nekudas. I'm going to keep this pasuk. No, I don't have to keep it open. I have it. I worked it out already. So those two components, guys. Those are the two things. Again, an avodah of giving and avodah matana. Only those you mechayv misa. The rest of the share is going to be going through different avodas and saying are you chayiv or not. We're going to have machloikis by trumas adeshen, whether trumas adeshen is a misa that you chayiv or not. We're going to have machloikis Rav and Levi. So you all set up? We're all on the same page. We're good. It was good hakdama. Bez Hashem. Let's see. Amar Rav. Arba avodos zor chayiv aleim misa. There are four avodos that is zor is mechuyev misa. Zrika, throwing of the blood. Haktara, burning of anything, guys. That's Fenisa chamayim, Fenisa chayayim. Now, does that fit both boxes? Let's go. Are all these matanas putting something? Yeah. Are all final avodas? Yeah. Good. Right. You have both those components. You have the formula. You have the formula. They both fit the bill. Now, the Levi Amar av Trumas Adeshen, that doesn't fit the bill. The Chain Tana Levi b'Masnisan Levi says in a brisa af Trumas Adeshen, even Trumas Adeshen. My time with the Rav. What's the reason the Rav? Only those things. Rika, Haktara, Nisuch, Yayin, Mayim. Right, guys? Good. What's Rav's reasoning? You know the answer. Dichsiv. V'yatu v'nafei itcha tishmus kohen aschem l'chol devar hamizbeach u'lemei v'la parochis v'avadetem avoid the matana etin is kohen aschem v'azor karv yuma. So you don't have to go. You could understand. Avoid this matana v'lo avoid the sila. Guys, geschmack. Avoid the matana. Avoid the avad of putting on v'lo avoid the sila of removing. V'avadetem avoid the tama. A final avoida v'lo avoid the sheish achrech. Avoida, but not an avoida that has afterwards avoida. So the two boxes have been created as we saw in the pasuk. And Memela, go through it. Zrika, Haktara, Nisuch, Mayim, Yayin, fit boxes. They're both all no avoidas done afterwards, and they're all avoidas of giving. The Levi, who says Trumas Adeshen, guys, what's our problem with Trumas Adeshen? It's siluk, it's misalik, it's taking off, right? So why should you be chayiv misa? So Rabbi Rachmana l'chol devar hamizbeach. Right, that includes any devar mizbeach and siluk. What siluk removal? As long as it's an avodah tama, guys. Any devar mizbeach, but it has to fit the box of avodah tama. Look at Rashi on this. L'chol devar mizbeach. Before it gets wide, the last two lines. L'rabbis avodah siluk im avodah tamahi. So in other words, it's not just, you can't do away with both, but he did away with one. He did away with avoid the matana because he says the chol devar mizbeach includes this. Now a nice kasha would be, is that an avoid the tama? 1 second, don't we have to do haitzos deshen after what? Trumas adeshen? Oh, what's that? You hear the kasha? Let's go through the kasha, guys. You're telling Levi is Maida that you need the avoida to be the final avoida in order for Azav to die. So how can you say Trumas Adeshin is what? Is that die is I l'chayr is something to do afterwards. There's like Tzas Adeshin. What would you say with that? What? The what? The Tzas not an avoida?
It's a different avoda. It's
Uh,
a completely different avoda.
I would say even if it is an avoida, it's a different avoida. I would agree with Rabbi Rosenstraw. I would say that it's two separate deshen. So I'm going to go to medical school together. I went to City University. Anyway, yeah, I did. City University of New York. 130th and Covenant Avenue. Oh no, I went up there. Anyway, so the guys, you hear the Itzas Adeshen is the only thing it has in common with Trumas Adeshen. They're both Ish, but one had nothing to do with the other. The two separate psukim, the two separate mitzvahs. They're two totally separate mitzvahs. Okay, so very good. It's a lot of very nice Tais Yishanim over here, but the time is moving. Okay, so guys, so we're good now. So what do we have? Let's go that one time. 2 boxes to fill in, right? Avoida matana and the final avoida. Says Dvar Mizbeach, Levi, Afilu Shumas Adeshen, even though it's not an avodah matana, since you have a ribui, it includes Shumas Adeshen because it is an avodah tama. Afal pi that what it's avodah tama, it's avodah siluk. Okay, the Rav, what does Rav do with that? L'chol Dvar Mizbeach, Mashma l'chol Dvar Mizbeach is coming to include something. The Rav, hu lasuye sheva hazoy shebifnim, hu shebet soimra. Now I spoke to you about this quite often. By Yikra Daled, there's a whole parsha there of an avodah that's done inside the Beis Hamikdash in the Heichel, where you put blood on the golden mizbeach and you spritz in front of the proiches. There are 5 kabbanas. There's the par kohen Mashiach, the kohen blows the psak. There's the par helam dova of the tzibor. If the bezdin blows the psak and people act on the of chorus, there's the par of avodah zarah. And then you have the 2 parim, the par and the seir of Yom Kippur. All of those, you're going to go inside, you're going to sprinkle the dam 7 times in front of the pareiches, and Yom Kippur, you even go inside the Kodesh Kodashim and sprinkle dam. So if you do any of those, the Zohar is chayv misa. If Zohar does any of those, he's chayv misa. That's what Rav uses the whole Devar Mizbeach for. Good? Levi uses it for Trumas Adeshen. Rav, who says Trumas Adeshen, you're not Chayiv Misa, he uses the words the Chol Devar Mizbeach for those 7 hazois. And Mitzoyra, guys, Mitzoyra, they take the oil and sprinkle it 7 times in front of the Paraikas. Good? This is all we saw in this as we went through the Sedra this past few months. So now, the Levi Nafkale, now Levi, who uses the Chol Devar Mizbeach, guys, for Trumas Adeshen, where does he know the 7 spritzings? For Levi Nafkale, when it could have said midvar, and it says the chol devar, he dashes chol devar, and therefore notice the midvar is going to tell me Trumas Adeshen, and get some kol, and the devar is going to teach me what the 7 hazois. The Rav davar b'chol davar like darish. He doesn't make that drasha. Fred Gemara kash like this. Okay, now can you open up the sukkah? Open up the K'mashim again. Same pasuk. Yeah, we're going to dash in this pasuk. Guys, we have a Yud Gimel Midas Sheturn Dreshes Behen Rabbi Shmuel Loimer. There's something called Klalu Prat. A Klalu Prat means the Torah says a rule, and then it says a specific after the rule. If that happens, then the rule is limited to the specific. Klalu Prat, Ein Bechlal El Mashe B'Prat. So we're going to have a kasha on Levi. Look at the pasuk. L'chol devar mizbeach, guys. That is what? That's a cloud, right? L'chol devar mizbeach. That's a cloud. Good. Avoid this matana. Avoid the putting on is a prat. Cloud prat. Ein b'chal l'mashav prat. Avoid the matana, but not avoid the siluk. So how can Rabbi Levi hold that? What? That Shumas Hadeshen is a Zar Mechayiv Misa using the exegesis of what? Of Klalu Prat. Guess what? You're limited to avoid the matana, only putting on. You hear? Fregdon Levi. Levi, you say L'chol Devar Mizbeach is a reboy. Look at the Torah. Look, guys, look at the pasuk. Guys, L'chol Devar Mizbeach, that's a klal. What's the prat? The prat's over here. Avoid this matana. right? Anything in the mizbeach that you chayiv v'hazara korv yumas is only for avodas matana. So how can you, Levi, say it's for avodas of removing? L'chayr, it's only for avodas matana. Let's see it inside. Ve'emal, let's say l'chol davar mizbeach klal avodas matana prat klal prat in b'chal masher b'prat avodas matana in avodas silik loy. So on Makra, the Torah tells us on midbeis u'le midbeis lapa roiches va'avadetem. Look at the pasuk, guys. The klal is l'chol davar mizbeach. Then smack in the middle it says u'le midbeis lapa roiches va'avadetem. We're mafsik between that and avodas matana, right? So you'd only, for example, look at Rashi, top Rashi. U'le midbeis lapa roiches afsik. It's mafsik. It stops in the middle, being klal leprata, between the klal of the chol davar mizbeach and the part of avodah matana. It says mi beis laparoichesu, the avodah matana. Kegoin. In other words, says Levi, you know what? The avodah matana is going on. It's always going on. It's only going based on proiches. Avodah matana is going on the base of proiches. Who the avodah matana? Kegoin hazah shebein abadim the Yom Kippur, the spritzing of the ben Yom Kippur. When the sinus ketoris stala eish, v'loy avodah siluk. But not the avodah that would take place inside. Kegoin, taking out the coin, we take out the fire pan and the spoon of ketoris that he left in there. That a zor would not be mechayev for if he did that. That he would not be mechayev for if he did it. So therefore, we're going to say you're not going to. Levi says you're not going to dash in a klal of avodas matana going on what on the outside. We're going to use it for what, for the inside. So what would I be chai for inside? Only avodas matana. Like spritzing the dam or putting the ketoris. What wouldn't I be mechayev for? Removal of the fire pan, removal of the ketoris spoon. However, habachutz, I feel it's avodas siluk. Even avodas siluk would be chayev such a trumas adeshan. So again, where guys do you know of? Guys, where do you know that it has to be a putting on, from the words avodas matana? Good. But that word avodas matana, look at the pasuk. It's only going on the base of parayches. It's not going on the outside. It's going only on the inside. That's what Rebbe's learning. So Memele, if it's not going on the outside, I concluded Trumas Hadeshen on the outside. The pasuk states, again, the formula we're creating is through the word where it says avodas matana. That we said, okay, it's got to be giving and not what, and not removing. We got a problem. Levi, you're removing. Says Levi, I'm only removing the outside. That pasuk of avodas matana tells you that there's no removing on the inside. Any removal from the inside, such as picking up the fire pan and picking up the kaf and taking it out, you'd be pata. You won't be chayiv. I mean, you're going to die for going to the Kachik Kedoshim. Okay, that's another society problem. But just the din of a Zarkar of Yumas, guys. So Rabbi, the way we're dashing the pasuk is the Levi, that avodas matana, that box that you created, is only going on the inside. But from outside, it can be even avodas siluk as long as it's an avodas tama. Now the question is, guys, let me ask you a question. Look at the pasuk. If you're telling me that the word avodas matana is going on base of paroiches, then say va'avadetem is also going on base of paroiches. So you would not outside. You wouldn't even mechayev for an avodah tama. You have to look at the guys. Put your eyeballs in the pasuk. Guys, don't look at me. Look at the pasuk. Really, look at the pasuk. I'm going to go through the pasuk and it'll be very clear. Watch. The key word over here is the following. It says l'chol davar mizbeach. You want to say is a klal. Then you say b'beis haproches, and that's going on inside b'beis haproches. Now, what is going on in base of proiches? Two things. One, va'avadetem. It has to be an avoida. That's the final avoida, and not avoida afterwards. And two, it's got to be an avodas matana. Good. We just asked the question on Levi from the word avodas matana. Levi said that's not a question. Why? Because that avodas matana is only speaking about the inside. Why? Because where's the words avodas matana located, guys? After the words in base of proiches. Good. What other word is located after the base of proiches? So you should say that what? You should say what? That when do you need avodah tama? That's only on something done on the inside, but something on the outside you wouldn't even need avodah tama for. The way you're dashing, the Gemara gets the kash now. Let's see it inside. Let's see the Gemara. Well, based on proiches varatem, only based on proiches huda avodas matana. Second line, below avodas siluk. Ha b'chutz afilo by the siluk. Ihachi, if you're going to darshan the words, if the base of pareiches, v'avadatem nami el base of pareiches hu da avoid the tama. Only the base of pareiches do you need to avoid the tama, like putting the ketayros on the eish. V'loy avoid the sheyesh achra avoida, but not carrying out the kafu machta. But v'loy avoid the sheyesh achra avoida. Ha b'chutz, but outside afilo avoid the sheyesh achra avoida. Even shchita kabbalah hilacha, right? You should be what? You should be potter from, right? You should be potter from. You don't have a list. And for the Gemara, va'avadatem hoda arve. What the vav does, guys? The word va'avadatem. The vav connects to the Indian before. The vav connects to the Indian before. There's like a death silence over this crowd. Are we good? A little bit. I know some people are good. Are we? Zoom is. Are you lost? Okay, we're going through one more time. Okay, one more time. Look at the pasuk. Let's do the pasuk. Let's do two things. Let's do location and let's do avodas. Two possible places. One outside the heichel. Two inside the heichel. Two possible avodas. Right? Putting it down or removing, and or an avoda that's the final avoda or not. Good. We said the following. Location outside, if you fill in those two boxes, that A, it's a final avodah, and B, right? And B, it's an avodah of giving, you're good. That was Rav. Inside, only what? Inside also, l'chayr, you needed those two things as well. Inside, you need an avodah of being a final avodah, 7 spritzings, and avodah of putting down. Good. Comes along Levi and he messes things up. He says outside, even removal will be okay. You'll be chayiv. Shumas hadesh and chayiv. It's removal. We have a pasuk that apparently says that no, that you have those two. You need those two things. It says Levi, those two things are only going on the inside. Removal is only going on the inside, but outside you're going to be chayiv on the removal. Right? The Gemara, if you can be chayiv on the location outside on the removal, why aren't you chayiv also without being an avodah tama? No, it's just that you don't need that box checked off. You don't need the other box checked off. And on that part, we're saying the vav that it says over there, va'avadetem, which is speaking about that box of what of furnishing. That vav connects it to the location. It connects it what to back to outside. That's the limit. Okay. 7.5 years from now, another Magish, he'll do a better job. Anyway, says the Gemara. Ihachi, vavadetem nami el beis laparoiches. Who da avoid this time of le'aved the sheyesh achroida? Habachutz. I feel avoid the sheyesh achroida. Avoid you should be what? You should be chayiv. But it says vavadetem. You should be pata. Vavadetem hoda arve. It puts it in that what the extra vav that only on avoid the tama. Boy Rava. Now we're going through different avoiders. Avoidus siluk behechel mahu. What's the din of avoida behechel? Let's say cleaning off the menorah, guys. Cleaning off the mizbeach hazahav. You're cleaning it off. Good. Would you be chayiv or not? Pashtus, we'd say you're not chayiv, right? Because it's siluk, it's removal. Mahu lifnim midamin lei. Now this is according, guys. This is shalom according to Levi, right? Again, loy Rav, you got to check both boxes. It's not checked at all. But lo Levi, that it's the last avoida, and it's avoida siluk that does work. So what about inside? Do we lifnim medina lei and yapata? Do we compare it to inside? Because is maida by siluk inside, removal of the kaf, removal of the fire pan, yapata, or chumas adeshin you compare it to in the chayv. So guys, yeah, two started, right? This should be right. My head is the shaila. My head is cleaning off the mizbeach inside. Over here is chumas adeshin that Levi says yechayev. Over here is the removal of the kaf and the ketayris from the kachik kadashim, which it says potter. So I'm a masalik. You're removing. You're cleaning me off. Do you view it like this in your potter, or do you view it like this in your chayev? That's using your head. Anyway, says the I'm sorry, that's pretty corny. So pashta, hada pashta, when it says mi bias, ulmi base. Now it says, it could have said mi bias, says ulmi base. Now what? That l'chayra that you pata. Elamiata, zor shesider es hashulchan. Okay, now, 1 second. So, when it says me based on parochias have le mechdov ksiv based on parochias that's the hechel gebes kach kedashim and you pata. Okay, good. Now, if you're telling me an avoided mitama you chayiv in the hechel for spritzing el miata avoided tama you chayiv in the hechel zor shesida es shulchan. The zor that puts on the shulchan, he puts on bread. Guys, you chayiv for spritzing 7 times? Yeah, good. Why? Does it fit both boxes, right? A, it's the last avodah, and B, it's putting down. If a zor goes into the heichel, takes the lechem upon him and puts it on the shulchan, does it fit both boxes? Is it avodah matana? Is it the last avodah? No, it's not. It's not the last avodah because you have to burn the vizichin. You have to burn the frankincense afterwards. But again, you got the kasha, right? You got the kasha. Good. So again, this is Kachim 101, right? We're going through a bunch of different things. So now says the Gemara. Me'ata, you tell me avoided Thomas chayiv inside. Zor shesides a shulchan lechayiv. A zor that's misada the shulchan should be chayiv. And for the Gemara, ikasida basichin. You're going to go ahead. You have to put the 2 little pots of frankincense on. So it's not an avoided tama. There's an avoided that happens afterwards. Sida basichin lechayiv. Okay, what happens if you put down the basichin? You should be chayiv for putting down 2 frankincense pots. Says of course, ikasiluk, v'haktara. No, you got to pick it up afterwards and burn them. So the putting down of the vazichin is not the final avodah of frankincense. There's 2 avodas that happen afterwards, taking them off and burning it. Zor shesides a menorah lechayev. Zor that flash that fills up the lamp should be chayev. Ikanasinus basil. You got to put the wicks in. Nasan basil lechayev. Ikanasinus shemen. Nasan shemen lechayev. Ikahadlaka. Listen to this, guys. Hidlik lechayev. And for the Gemara, hadlaka lav avodahi. Hadlaka is not considered an avodah.
Everything leading up to that is an avodah.
Now, you would think in a million years that hadlaka has got to be avodah, right? Why not? Okay, let's see Taisus Shoshanim. He says a very, very interesting. It's a little one. It's like the 4th one from the end. Hadlaka lav avodahi. And if you have the old Benji, you're the only one who has the old Gemara. You have it, guys? You found it? Taisus Shoshanim? You found it? Now, hadlaka lav avodahi. Shahashal heves, the flame, oilamel laha. It goes by itself. When you go ahead and have a wick that's full of oil, the light, you're not working at anything. The flame seems to go up itself. So burning the wood on the mizbeach, he said yechayev. Aval hatsasa al yasa. The burning of the chips to get the fire started. Ika eish gadol. There you got a big fire. You ever try to start a barbecue, right? Unless you're days pre-fire starters in the old days. Now it's very easy. In the old days, you had to work at it. I know someone on a windy day at Giant Stadium parking lot decided to make in the back of a car a barbecue and try to get it lit. It was not so pashut in the back of a car next to the gas tank. He was a great guy. And his son said, "Daddy, you're crazy." Okay, but here's a good kasha, guys. Aval tema laharav Yosef kimin that laka lava voidehi a ma'ikasiv behen koyin the siv daber aron velbonav b'halois ches aneros. Okay, guys. Let's go outside. It's a question. You're telling me once it's a matana, so burning it's the avodah to fit both boxes. It's the last avodah, and there's nothing after it, and you're putting something on. Everything why you're not doing anything. Lav avodah. It's not avodah. That light you're lighting is not really a light. It's not really a light, and it's not an avodah. Why does it say dabe el aron velbono balas kasaneros? So who's lighting it? The kahanim. So he remains a shver. The Ritva speaks out that it's not telling you, it's telling what you should do. In other words, it's not a chi of misa if you don't do it. Who should do it? The kahanim. In fact, the Rambam, I looked up the Rambam today. He says something fascinating. He says, if you would take the menorah outside, lichat chila, since it's not an avodah, a zor will be able to light it. Wow. He can't light it inside because he's not physically able to go into the kodesh. But if you would take it outside, lichatchila he'll be able to light it. That's what I'm saying. That Azor is Yisrael. Outside you guys, you're permitted. You're permitted to go into the Heichel. You're permitted to go to see the menorah and the Zov and the Shulchan. We're not allowed in there. So the Rambam says if you physically take the menorah out, mutter lechatchila says, and he says it's from this Gemara Lavavoida. So this is a big sugi, guys. This is Rav Chaim. I was looking for Rav Chaim the Rambam there. I couldn't find it. Anyway, so it was so that would answer. Says the Gemara Vaita. Veloy, you want to tell me Adlok is not avoida but Tanya. The burning of the chips. So you see that the burning is adlaka. So, but we know the difference already. It's the difference between the burning of logs and the burning of menorah. Hatzas is al yisa avoidehi. Adlaka lav avoidehi. But adlaka is not avoidehi. If you're telling me that avoid the tama and it's the last avoida, if the zor that puts the pyre up, he should be chayiv. And Rav said you only chayiv for what? For zrika, haktorah, nisa chayayim, nisa chamayim. It can see the shnei gizu yitzim. It's not the last avoida, guys. Because after you set up the pyre, what do? You put on 2 logs. So therefore it's not an avoida tama. There's an avoid afterwards. See the shnei yitzim chayiv. So therefore that's the final avoida. Putting on the 2 logs, it fits the bill, right? It's an avoida matana and it's the last avoida. It says, it can see the Evarim. You have to put the Evarim on top of it. Guys, Geschmack? It's beautiful Gemara. V'amar Ravasi, Rabbi Yochanan, Zor shesida shnei gizreis chayiv. I say, it says, chayiv. You have to put the Evarim on. So, kamigli, masav avoid the tamahi. Masav lai avoid the tamahi. One says it's avoid the tama, and therefore you be chayiv. One says not avoid the tama, you be chayiv. Now, Tanya Gavase the Rav, Tanya Gavase the Levi. Bryce said Tzaraya to Rav that Trumas Adeshen is not the only thing you chayiv for is Haktorah, Srika, Nisa Chayayim, Nisa Chamayim, and then we have a Raya to Levi that I feel Trumas Adeshen. Tanya Gavase the Levi, Tanya Gavase the Rav. Now, Tanya Gavase the Rav, avoid the Shishosh Chayiv Aleim, Misa. What are they? Guys, this is Machlokes. This is the Tanoim speaking. Srika Sadam, Bein Lefnim, Layofnim, right? Whether it's the one outside or the 7 inside. V'hamazeh b'chata sa'oif. Guys, chatas oif, you would go ahead, take it, go below the chutas sikra, and you go like this. V'hamtza, oilas oif, you would take it and push it against the wall. This is all considered like isrika. V'hamakdir b'oilas oif, you burn the oilas oif. V'menasich shleisha login mayim, that's nisach hamayim. V'shleisha login yayim, that's stam nesachim. What didn't include? Trumas Hadeshen. No mention of Trumas Hadeshen. All we mentioned was zrika, haktara, and nisach. Tanya Kavasi the Levi, avoid the Shazar Chayav Aleya Misa. What is that? And here's the Raya. Hamerim Es Hadeshen, V'Sheva Azoy Shebifnim, U'Sheb Mitzayra, V'Amal Gab Mizbeach, Bein Dava Kosher, Bein Dava Pasal. But you see, the main thing, what is Merim Es Hadeshen? Yeah. No. Okay, everyone should have a good night. Shkaya for listening.
Thank you.